Well, tree stands are always a lot of work. You know, boy, on the new property, I love putting new tree stand in, and then even on the old properties, we're really honing it down to this perfect morning stand. I love morning stands. I've shoot about 75% of my bucks in the morning. But we're adding a new tree stand today, and it's a different type of strategy. The tree stand's actually right on a food plot, and as a lot of you know, I don't hunt food plots very often, and in this one, I think we'll be able to get away with hunting it in the evening a little bit, northeast wind, east wind, and I'll explain why. But this is a morning stand. I don't recommend hunting on morning stands very often, but this is gonna be a post-daybreak stand entrance. The ground falls off on all the sides, and we'll be able to walk through that food plot. It's a large food plot. Right after daybreak, get into a stand, and then blow my scent off the side of a ridge. So we have a lot of strategy going into this, as far as post-daybreak stand entrance, and then also the drop off with the hill. And I feel lucky because you guys see these stands all the time in our videos. These are our family tradition stands and ladders. I use 5 ladder sticks here, and that gets me up at 20 feet. And then, of course, we have the family tradition stands here, big and beefy, rubber coated chain. And the reason I like these is, you know, for me going out and putting stands up, I'm not saying I'm old, I'm 50, and I feel like I'm relatively good shape, but it is a pain. But with lineman's belt, we're gonna be using our hanger harness from Hunter Safety Systems. This keeps us safe when we're going up and wrapping around the tree and continuing to put these ladders up. You can see there's no pins or anything in here. We're just setting one on top of the other. And then we're using these heavy duty ratchet straps that Jack provides. And we need 7. It's a big tangled mess here. So we'll get 7 out of here, throw them in the back of the side by side here. And that's really all we need. We have a T-screw that you use to set the stand on. So when I'm actually 20 feet off the ground, then I can hang that stand. I can just set it right on that T-screw. And then I can work to get these ratchet straps installed. So very easy to put up by myself. I encourage you not to put stands up by yourself, but we're gonna talk about not only why this post-daybreak stand entrance, how we can blow our scent off the ridge and be scent free no matter what we smell like going in for a morning hunt. We're also gonna talk about, you know, my favorite way to set up tree stands. I've had up to 50 tree stands in the woods in several states at one time. You know, I've hung hundreds of stands, and I have it down to where I feel safe putting the stands in, and I'll show you why. As far as putting the ladder on and putting the stand 90 degrees from the ladder, it's an easy step down to the ladder or to the tree stand. And you know, I think it's relatively easy. I think we can get this thing in pretty quick, we'll see, but there's a lot of strategy going in with this, and I hope you like the setup. So this is where we're gonna put that tree stand in. It's gonna be all the way in the back corner. And you can see right here, we have a wall of corn. This corn was supposed to be, we weren't trying to make it screening, we wanted this last step food source. You can see where it was supposed to go to, but we had a lot of mud that day when we were planting, and the no-till drill kept filling up. So we had to leave it at just here, but on this side is just all open ag. We can access from along the wood line over here. It'll all be switchgrass. This will all turn into switchgrass going out into the ag field away too. So we're gonna access from this side. Next year I'll have 5 to 6 feet of switchgrass all the way around this food plot. But for now, all the sides taper down. So if deer are in the woods and we're up top going through the middle, they're not gonna see us. That stand location is all the way in the back corner. I think it's 150 yards from the edge. We're gonna stick that stand there. So right after daybreak, when there's no deer out here and I can stand back here and look, see there's nothing, the coast is clear, I can walk right into that stand location, and then come on in there and I'll show you why we're hunting there. This is one of the spots we're seeing Negan this year. He's a giant buck, and we're actually putting the stand right by where he walked. Summer patterns change for sure, but he's been around this farm for a while. We're hoping he gets used to the food we just planted out in the plots, and let's head back there and we'll get the stand up. Hey, sorry to interrupt this video, but my web class series is finally begun. How to design your whitetail property is on my website, and there's a link in the description. Please check it out. So we're all set at this tree. The reason we picked out this tree is it drops off steep behind Dylan right here. And in front of us is a food plot. Now a lot of the cruising activity, this is a pretty big food plot and it juts right back here into the woods, and there's a point on this end. So it creates a pinch point over here between the food plot and where it drops down steeply. So if bucks want to move around this, which they do, they cruise around here a lot, you can tell, then they have to go on this inside corner around the food plot. Now there's a water hole right on the other side of the food plot, so we want to take advantage of that movement. And then at the same time, in the morning, we can blow our scent right off of this ridge, and these deer that are moving on this bench below won't smell us. I do that all the time. That's one of my favorite hunting tactics, is to get high and then blow my scent with the elevation change over the deer that you're actually shooting. And that works great in hill country with thermals. At the same time, because we're using a post daybreak stand entrance, we're waiting for the deer to clear, and then we're coming in here 10 to 15 minutes after, then you just make sure there's none on the food plot. We're coming right to the stand. That might be 10, 15 minutes, a half hour after, whatever it takes, and we can hide back in the brush over there. We'll come into the stand location. We can take advantage of the thermals that are rising after the sun comes up, and we can blow our scent into the food plot because they shouldn't be feeding out there typically during the daylight, and we can blow it over there. Now this is a stand location. There's a lot of cruising activity. I could stay here till about 3 hours before dark, and then I have to get out of here because we wanted to find a place that we could blow our scent downhill into a non-deer area, but there's trails coming up everywhere into this corner right here. And so I just don't think it's going to be safe to have an evening hunt here, with the exception of all the way on the outside where we have a redneck. Maybe we'll hunt out of there with a bow, but certainly with a gun where we can watch this whole food plot. We don't have to get back in here and spook anything. So while we're setting this stand, what's really nice is I can take the Family Traditions ratchet straps, and I can actually lean back when I'm working up high with the hanger harness. You can see this is tied around here, lineman's belt. And so when I'm up there, I can work on this hands-free. You know, have my feet obviously on the stand. And then what I like about these Family Traditions is we're just using a ratchet strap. There's no pins, anything to put these ladders together. So what I usually do is I put a couple together. I'll put 2 of the ladder sticks together. They're 5 feet apiece. And then I'll go around. It makes it really nice to be able to do this, especially when you're by yourself. Get this lined up the right way. And what's really nice about these Family Traditions too is they're not cheap steel. They're actually USA made steel. And you'll see what I mean by that in a second. Now, maybe this, I don't know what this does to the warranty or what Jack Turner, the owner, would think, but you can take these ratchet straps and you can see, try doing with this with some of the cheap stands that are out there. So I use a couple so I can make sure it's pointed in the right direction and get it ratchet strapped in there really tight. And of course, for years, I've never on these ratchet straps or any kind of straps just let them hanging in the wind. I really think that a mature buck who's seen that before, the tree stand blowing around, I make sure to tie these in. You can see, you just wrap that around. And a lot of times I'm tying it in right here at the base. And a lot of times I'm not even actually making a granny knot or anything. I'm just wrapping that around a couple times. And so if there's a little blowing around, it's right next to the trunk. I've lined up the stand. We expect to shoot this way. I always love shooting sitting down. I don't want to have to stand. We have some good branches in this hickory tree, and it'll keep us hidden really well. But if I'm out here hanging, trying to get a shot and standing up, then we're going to get seen a percentage of the time. Maybe it's only 20, 30% of the time, maybe 40, I don't know, but it's not worth it. So what I'm doing is, if I expect to shoot this way, then my ladder is 90 degrees from where I want to shoot. I want the stand facing this way, and I want my ladder on this side, so it's easy just to step right over to the tree. I also like coming up this side of the tree because all the cover is on that side where the deer movement is, so I can actually use the tree as cover getting up the tree. We're gonna have 5 to 6 feet of switchgrass all the way around the outside of this food plot where we can access next year. But for now, like I said, everything slopes down so we can get in here. So we're using the lineman's belt. Makes it a lot safer getting up the tree. You can just move it as you're going. And you can see I have all the straps in my pockets right here. I have the T-screw for the stand. I'll head up the stand. I'm actually gonna connect the rope to the hanger harness here, so I can just pull the stand up myself, stick it on that T-screw. And so it really makes it so you can put a stand up by yourself for one thing, but you can do it very safely. Now you'll see at the end, I usually put a lifeline in the tree, and I always do. But we do not have a lifeline with us this morning. That's my fault. They're all back at our Coon Valley house. So I have the hanger harness, or I wouldn't be putting this in. When I get up there and I want to put the tree stand in, we might add the camera stand. And when I do that, I'll be connected with the hanger harness. And boy, going back 10, 12, 15 years ago when we were just doing this and not using anything other than a safety harness when we were up there, a lot of times the old style went around your waist. There's really no excuse to have major falls when you have the hanger harness, the safety equipment. And we get up there, I want to show you around and really give you a better view of what's going on here. But we have a lot of deer trails pinching around the end of this food plot. We have the elevation change, we have the water hole straight across, and then we have the long food plot we can blow our scent into, or we can blow it right off here at about a 90-degree window. I believe that'll be a little bit west-southwest, west, or west-northwest that we can hunt out of the stand. And really, we could smell like whatever we want back here, and the deer aren't going to smell us, because our scent's going to be a non-factor blowing off that hill or blowing into a food plot that they're not using during the mid-morning and early afternoon hours. Great cruising stand, and it might even be a spot where deer are coming off the ag fields and they're just flipping by to go out and bed on the point out here that we can hunt in the early season for one of those morning hunts, just getting back here quickly and trying to catch them as they're moving back to bedding. Well, this is a pretty cool setup here. It was a little bit better than I even thought. You know, I don't mind putting a tree stand in a bad tree if it's the right spot. This happens to be a really good tree. And I love that we have this branch right here that breaks us up from going out into the food plot. We have another good branch hanging over behind here, but right to the camera. And we have a mock scrape down here. And then we have shot after shot down into the woods at that bench, at that travel corridor, especially a big rut cruising corridor. Kind of imagine when we have switch all the way around this food plot out here, just 5-6 feet wide, then those bucks will feel even more comfortable coming up close to this edge because there's that screening wall between them and the food plot. So they'll always pull out to that screening wall. But again, we have the ladder stand right here and then the tree stand 90-degree angle. So all I have to do is get onto this and step right over. Really easy to do. And then again, I want to shoot sitting down. So it's possible on this big flat seat. It's steel, USA steel. This is very quiet, very solid. Last year I had to move on my seat and shoot over that direction. I didn't even have to stand up, and I'll be able to do that. I have some limbs up here I'll actually be able to hang my bow from, so that works out nice too. Won't even have to use any kind of bow hanger. But I'll be able to shoot over to this way, which is at the extreme edge of the food plot, all the way to my left and back behind the tree at an angle that way, simply sitting down. I'll barely have to move. And it's an easy shot to make if you guys practice it much sitting down. And then of course, the hanger harness. So easy to use this, and put the stand up here today, put the ladder, and I highly recommend these. But man, there's a bunch of strategy. We'll be able to blow our scent that way in the morning, right over the deer that are down here because of those thermal changes. We'll also be able to blow it back here into the food plot during the morning hours and early afternoon. And this might be one of those stands that I come into and I actually sit from a half hour after daybreak all the way till 1, 2 in the afternoon during the rut, maybe 3 in the afternoon, and then get out of here. So it's one I could enjoy for a long time, and I can guarantee I hope to bring a hunt to you from this, because when these leaves are down, the view across the draw and to the other side is going to be spectacular in the morning. So we'll get a good view. We've got a good tree. We have a lot of strategy going on with this tree stand setup. We're able to get it in the tree really quickly. I'm not too sweated up yet, and very comfortable to do so with the hanging harness. And again, a solid fixed position stand, very, very little movement. Can highly recommend this type of setup, and hope you enjoy the strategy in this tree stand setup. Always think safety. This is part of the safety, the 90-degree rule, where you have the ladder on this side, stand here. I expect movement from here, so I'm climbing up this side of the tree, which can hide my movement. If I was a lefty, I'd probably have the stand facing off the opposite direction, obviously. And then we're going to get the camera stand right up here, probably on this backside. And Dylan will be able to turn to his right and get a full clear picture in this lateral since we've set it down. We didn't go up that high because I didn't want to go up and get into this branch or get out of its cover. And Dylan will be able to sit on this side and be able to turn to the right and have that full same picture that I have. So this works out well for a lot of reasons, a lot of strategy, and hope you guys have a safe time putting up stands in the woods this fall. This is one we barely have to clear any lanes for, other than a couple limbs up here, and we're golden all the way through this way. Maybe one small tree over here with the chainsaw, I'll zip in here and get out of it, but I don't like to do a lot of clearing this time of year. So we're getting closer to mid-August right now, and this might be a stand we sit in within 6 to 8 weeks. So hope to bring it to you then.